All right, part two, the abomination of abortion. When we sought out to legalize abortion as a compromise, the idea of it was that abortion would be safe, legal, and rare. Safe so that the back alley abortions they said all these people were having wouldn't have to occur. They'd be conducted under safe, legal medical conditions. Legal, so it would be constitutional or at least legal to have an abortion and not have someone be put up on charges for performing it or having it. And rare, the most important of the three, in my view. The idea of it was by making them legal and making them safe, the compromise was that they would be rare. Abortion, which is killing a baby, rightly or wrongly, legal or otherwise, still killing a baby. Should be treated with a vast amount of dignity and sobriety. This is a somber, sad, unfortunate, tragic event. It is not something to be proud of. It is not something to cheer. Abortion should be treated with the utmost humility. A forlorn sadness should be involved here. It should be, like a woman who wants a baby but has a miscarriage. It is a tragic event. But we've turned abortion, we've polarized the thing so badly. We push it like drugs onto children and onto a culture, a society. And we've done so poorly that we've forced these people to box themselves into having to promote something that should be a last resort, not a first resort. And they treat it like it's some celebration, like, being released from jail. And we've lost all sense of ourselves with regard to this issue. And it has become a big ho-hum because it's so common now. The rare part, of course, was the side of the equation that the left was supposed to uphold. The safe and legal part was the compromise that the right was supposed to uphold. And we did. But the left, like usual, did not. And why? Because, like always, with the left, you give them an inch, they take a mile. It's never enough, as we've said time and time and time again in these videos. With the left, it's never enough. First, they wanted abortions made safe and legal and rare. Now they want them for everything, up to and including the time of birth and even after. It's never enough. You compromise with these people, and they bite your fingers off. So let's talk about lies versus truth with regard to abortion. There's a lot of lies coming from the right and the left in this issue. There's a lot of misinformation going back around, but again, it's a matter of degree. The lies from the left, in order to promote something like abortion, far outweigh any lies from the right. Let's detail what these might be. Lie number one: abortions are the right of a woman because it's their body. This is one of the main chirps from the left, where a woman selfishly claims that everything in her body belongs to her body. And of course, this was enhanced by the misinterpretation or broadening of the interpretation of the privacy, right to privacy in the due process clause of the 14th Amendment, which led to Roe versus Wade decision in the first place. The truth of the matter is, in the Declaration of Independence, there is, it says that people have the right to life. It includes the unborn. It didn't exclude them. Why does it include the unborn? Because the unborn are humans. And humans have the right to life. That is what has been understood and protected, first recognized by the Declaration, then protected into law by the Constitution. If no harm will come to a woman by carrying a child to birth or by giving birth, then a viable fetus will give you the concession, the viable fetus, as per Roe versus Wade, your favorite freaking law. That viable fetus has the same rights as a woman and her body. Not less rights, the same. Now remember, your right to do something stops as soon as it violates another person's rights. So a woman's right to deal with her unborn child ends as soon as that child's rights are in danger. So if it's a viable fetus, aborting that fetus would violate the child's right to life. Period. It's just that simple. Trying to make this more complex and more gray and adding more chaos to it does not change the fact. You guys made the stupid law in Roe versus Wade that a viable fetus and not a health issue cannot be aborted. You did it, not us. You. It's your law. It's your line in the sand. That was the compromise. So everything that happens after that is illegal to that child. So you tell me, explain to me with any sense of logic how a woman can end that child's life legally and claim it's just her body. You cannot. This is not a new thing. As far back as 1866, scientists around the world had decided, proven, that a human being, an unborn child is a human being, and that a unique life form, unique organism with human DNA is created at conception. 1866. This is not new. And since then, technology has only gone further to prove it. Not prove it less, but prove it more. Unique organism is created at the moment of conception with human DNA. It is not a tree. It is not a dog. It is not a rock. It can only be one thing. A human being. A human. Legally, there is no distinction of a human in terms of its size, development, age, or anything. Only the liberals have placed those restrictions or labels on zygote, embryo, fetus, whatever, in order to push an ideology. Therefore, a human being from the time of birth. But we're willing to give you that concession of viable, meaning, say, after the first trimester, human being. Viable human being, a viable baby, meaning maybe it has a heartbeat, maybe it has a brain, maybe it feels pain or stimuli. Whatever that viability line is. After that, you can't touch it. Period. Your law, not ours. Lie number 2. Abortions are only done when a woman's life or health is at stake or when the fetus has a fatal condition. Let's talk about that part of it, the health side of it. The truth is that 12,000 late-term abortions per year are conducted, virtually none of which are for medical reasons. or out of medical necessity. According to a study at UC San Francisco, instead reasons are given by the study subjects for this study that was done fairly recently: travel considerations, expense, indecision, and disagreement with the father. Do any of those sound like medical reasons? 16% of abortion facilities terminate pregnancies that are 24 weeks along or more, which means they are viable outside the womb at that time. 95 to 98% of all abortions are a means of birth control and nothing else. So when people complain about these health reasons, they're talking about a very, very small percentage of total abortions. And when they are talking about them, that's the concession that was already given in Roe versus Wade. Health reasons. For any reason up to the time of birth, for health reasons. It, by the way, did not mention rape or incest specifically. This is where the broadening of the term comes. A child who's raped, a woman who is raped and becomes pregnant, can have a child, and the child can survive. So strict rules of the game say that rape should not be an exception, because it does not violate the health clause of the law. Being raped is not necessarily detrimental in terms of death to the woman or the child, any more than rape and incest is. In fact, incest, by its definition, is consensual. Otherwise, it would be called rape. Right? If it's not rape, it's incest, that's consensual. Doesn't matter who with. In this case, it happens to be with a family member, but if it was not consensual, it would be rape. So you can't say rape and incest, and both of them mean rape. They mean different things. Incest, by the way, does not lead to necessarily a woman's health. It could lead to different abnormalities in the child, but even abnormalities are not necessarily a death sentence. They're allowing today for Down syndrome to be something to not be so immediately pushed away and set aside as an unworthy life. Many Down syndrome children and their parents live fulfilled lives. These are children of God, as they say, if you go in that direction. And they are historically were treated as something to destroy as soon as possible, to keep the purity of the line of the race, and also to whitewash and hide the indiscretions of man. But not anymore. And so more and more, even Down syndrome babies are considered to be precious enough to allow to live, and not part of a health issue with regard to the parent or the child in this case. Lie number 3. Progressives don't advocate for late-term, third trimester abortions. Meaning that a lot of progressives and lefties are trying to say that they're not for all these late-term abortions after all. That they're, that's just a myth of some kind. No, not so much. In fact, they now promote birthday abortions, as it's now called. Having an abortion on the day you were supposed to be born, but instead you get yourself hacked to pieces. Birthday abortions. What happened to Rare? What happened to the line in the sand? They're even promoting infanticide now. Nothing short of homicide, murder. New York legislature just passed a bill in January of this year to withhold, at practitioner's discretion, necessary medical attention to help any baby that survived an abortion, typically a chemical abortion, which is what's done, would be what they were talking about. Obviously, a baby cannot survive an abortion where it's cut into pieces. but a chemical abortion. And it happens. Sometimes babies survive abortions. Now, a medical practitioner has the discretion whether or not they're going to be able to kill that kid anyway, even after it was born, in New York State. And what did this bill, what did the people who passed this bill do when this somber, humbling decision was made? Did they walk out of the chamber with their heads low in humility? Did they say, thank God that we're able to, do this important but sobering thing? No. They cheered. They laughed and giggled and cheered. And they had, and Mayor de Blasio of New York, Bolshevik Bill, lit up One World Trade Center in pink lights to celebrate. A window into the soul of evil, my friends. That's what that was. The Virginia governor, also not long ago, a dork by the name of Ralph Northam, said publicly that a bill that was brought to the Virginia legislature by a Democrat delegate by the name of Kathy Tran limits all restrictions on abortion restrictions against third trimester abortions, and permits abortion even while the birth is taking place, birthday abortions. Further, he said, and I quote, "If a mother is in labor, the infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family doctor desired, and then a discussion would ensue between the physician and mother." In other words, unquote. In other words, a child that is born and is, by any definition, even until fairly recently apparently, would be considered, therefore, a human being. It's now born. Now you can't change the rules. You can't move the goalposts. Kids out of the womb. Too late. Born. They would decide whether or not they would resuscitate it or not. Well, why would it even need resuscitating? It tells you that maybe it was suffering in some way. But how is this even a choice? Kid's born. It has the rights that you didn't want to confer on it when it was not born. Now it has those rights. Now any taking of that child's life is a violation, and it cannot be called anything other than infanticide, which is just a fancy term for murder. It's homicide. That's what it is. Then, of course, the ever so lovely Patty Murray, Democrat senator of Washington State, blocked a Senate bill to require medical practitioners to treat a baby who survives an abortion. There's also Obama's former medical advisor and the architect of Obamacare, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, brother of the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, by the way. He is now, ironically, the chair of the Department of Medical Ethics and Health Policy at the University of Pennsylvania. I say ironically because here's what this limp rod had to say. There's no place for morality in medicine. And there should be no limits on abortion. I'm sorry, what? There is no place for morality in medicine. That's what this zipperhead said. A doctor. Does this moron know what the Hippocratic Oath was even about? It was about maintaining morality in medicine. First, do no harm. Why would you need to say first do no harm if there's no morality in medicine? You stupid schmuck. No morality in medicine? Are you kidding me? Part 3 is coming up. Bear with me.